Hello and welcome to the Industry Podcast. My name is Corey. I'm joined by my co-host Blake. And the Industry Podcast is your source for interviews, insights, and inside stories from the industry and abroad. How are you doing today, Blake?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much.
Awesome. And how was your week?
It was great. And today I was just at the Wonder World Cavern.
Is that right? How was that?
It was fun. We got to feed some animals from the train and got to go over the observation tower and go a couple feet below the surface and went down a lot of stairs. It was just a lot of, and we were actually told that when we touched this this rock, it said if you touch it, it's 15 years worth of good luck.
Really?
Yep.
That's really interesting. That sounds really fun. What kind of like lookout tower was it? Was there a lookout tower underground in the cave, or was it up?
It was
outside?
An observation tower where it goes like 100 feet above the surface.
Oh, cool. So it was like a mountain kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of like that. Like
interesting.
Like you can see all around the area, kind of.
That's really cool. What was it called again?
It's called Wonder World Cave.
Wonder World Cave. I love that. I know you're a big cave fan. What was the other caves you went to?
The Inner Space Cavern.
Inner Space.
And the Natural Bridge.
And Natural Bridge Caverns. And you want to go to the one in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
The Carlsbad.
Carlsbad. I like Carlsbad because you can get there's a cafeteria in Carlsbad Cafe. So if you get hungry, you can just hang out and be in a cave. What kind of food do you think they have there?
Probably fast food related. Maybe they have chicken tenders, probably hamburgers, fries, maybe.
That's true. They probably got that. They probably have like a delicacy of like cave slug or something like that, which is absurdly priced, probably of like $50 for a cave slug taste.
Totally.
I'd still try it.
They probably got seafood.
When
too,
in Rome,
maybe.
right? Yeah, they got seafood underground.
Mm-hmm.
I bet.
Yeah, because they got crayfish in caves.
And they call it underground seafood. Yeah. Well, anyways, enough cave talk. We have a guest today on the Industry Podcast. We have Savannah Power. How are you doing, Savannah?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing wonderful.
I've seen all those billboards for the cavern.
Yeah.
And I've been actually wanting to see what that's about, so now I have some insight, so that's nice.
This is the cave guy right here. He makes every cave his man cave in that way. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you a question, Savannah.
Sure.
So you said you wanted to. So you said you wanted to like. I'm so sorry. So you said you wanted to start a business for Austin Movie Maker.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
I've been a filmmaker for about 6 or 7 years. And when I moved to Austin, the first few people I met at like the very first Austin film meetup I ever went to, the four of us got together and we made a film like within a few weeks, and it was a blast. And
awesome.
And then I didn't make a film for like another year or two, and I was working a lot, and I was like, man, I call myself a filmmaker, but I haven't made any films in so long. And so I came up with this idea for a meetup in Austin where filmmakers could come every month, and it would be like the 48-hour film fest, but instead it would be 30 days. So we'd come, meet, network, and then break into teams, and you had to come back the next month with a finished short film. So
Really?
That was the birth of Austin Movie Makers, which ran for about a year right before COVID and was super successful. We had a ton of fun. I met a ton of people. We made almost 12 short films, some of which went on to win some awards and do really well in festivals.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, there were some really great filmmakers that came through, and so my vision for the future of that is I do want to bring it back to Austin eventually in person, but I also have a vision for making it an app or a software that can match these teams any city you're in. So you could move to New York and be like, I don't know any filmmakers, let me tap into this network and be matched to a project right away and be able to go out and make a film with some friends in 30 days. And it's like the best way to network with other filmmakers, right, is actually make a film with them. And so that's kind of the vision for a future business model would be some kind of a subscription that filmmakers could buy into. Maybe it's a yearly price or monthly that,
I like that.
to get you making films, because so many of us just sit on scripts for days, years on end, and never make them, and it can be hard to find the right people or find any people. It's not like a solo sport. You can't put on your running shoes and go make a film, so
there's ways to do it, but it never turns out good.
But yeah, it's limited. So yeah, that's kind of the Austin Movie Makers group, and that's how Blake found me.
That is so cool. Austin Movie Makers Group. That's a lot to unpack. That is so cool and inspiring and awesome all in one.
Yeah, it was really fun. Like, I look back and it was just a great year. Like, I remember this one specific film.
Did you work on every single film?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's awesome. You're like a showrunner for Austin Films.
I did find, like, it wasn't super scalable. Like, I found later on that if I wasn't actually on a team, the film wouldn't get made. So I was like, hey, there's some secret sauce here that I need to figure out so I can step away and, like, be successful without me. But it was like the boss was there, so they had to perform. No. And this one thriller film we made, we were out till, like, 1 a.m, shooting in someone's car, probably totally illegal, no permits, like running around with our cameras, and it's just so
I don't think
fun.
anybody minds until you get a jib or a scissor lift out there trying to get a shot.
It's just so fun, like being on the fringe, with some people that you've just met but really connected with, and being out making something and bringing a vision together, and it's
beautiful.
I feel like I was driving home high, like I was just so stoked, like it was so much fun.
High on life,
High on life, yeah.
I've gotten that experience from photography and just going out and taking amazing photos and just being in nature where something will happen in nature where, like, an eagle will come down and like catch something or something like that. And you capture that and it looks great in camera.
Yeah.
And you just can't wait.
Yeah.
To bring it back. And look at it.
Computer.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love it when I feel like I got a money shot that I get to go home and see, like, did I get it? Like, was it really as good as I felt like it was? Yeah. That's awesome.
That's so cool. So you came to Austin. When did you come to Austin? Are you from here?
Sorry, I just want to make sure is this close enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
So I moved to Austin about when I graduated college, which was 2016. So was that like 4 years, 5 years, 6 years?
It's 5 years now.
Bad at math. Creative type. I graduated in 2016 and just moved right out here the summer I graduated from college. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're a hell of a self-starter.
Yes.
Just from what you've said so far.
Yep.
That is awesome. You looked to 0 other people to help you get your film started.
Yep.
Was the first film you did here, you said it was yours? And then you moved
it
on
was
from
one
there?
that I wrote and directed, or I think we wrote it together, me and my friend Will, who I met when I moved here.
Okay.
And it was like the first film I'd made out of college, so that wasn't a college project, I guess.
Sure.
It was a little 10-minute short.
I love college projects.
I know.
I feel like the films I make now will still have college quality.
Yeah, still a college project. Yeah. I'm very like into the mumblecore type movies, like Lena Dunham, if you remember that. So like I feel like all my films are like that. Like just
I didn't know that was a
kids.
genre of film.
Yeah, it's 20-year-olds.
That's a rap genre, but
I call it the genre that is 20-year-olds mumbling about how they don't understand life and how hard it is to be an adult. Like I feel like that's like my favorite type of movie.
It's called mumblecore?
Yeah, mumblecore. It's a whole movement. Lena Dunham was like the peak of it, I think. Yeah. And I'm forgetting a lot of their other names, but it was a very Austin, lots of films, like the Puffy Chair movie. Have you seen that?
I have not.
That was like peak mumblecore. Yeah.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. This whole movement is so new to me.
Yeah, check it out.
I feel like I knew everything and didn't need to learn anymore.
You don't know about mumblecore.
Just kidding. But so you did your first film here, and it was in that genre, would you say?
Yeah, so it was about a relationship. It was a relationship story of like two 20-somethings, and I was trying to tell the relationship in reverse. So it's moving backwards through time.
I like that.
From the 1 year of the relationship backwards or something.
Okay.
But we were trying to make the time shift subtle. Like we wanted you to not be able to tell if we were going forward in time or backward in time.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Did it make it out? Where can we see it?
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube, I think, and Vimeo. It's called A History of Us.
History of Us. I love that.
Long, yeah, I'm happy with it. It was a fun little indie project.
Are
it's
you
not perfect, but that's.
Are you part of the Austin Filmmakers Group and Austin Film and all the other little groups here in Austin?
Yeah, on Facebook I feel like I am, but I don't go to a lot of events. I mean, lately it's been COVID, but
yeah.
But I am.
There's been the occasional screenwriter event.
Yeah.
I made the mistake. I went into the group and I just wanted to meet people as well as you can in a virtual world, and I just posted. I was like, "Hey, how's everybody doing? Like, what are you working on?" and I didn't take into effect that it was mid-COVID, and so there was like 80 plus comments of like just writing on
just
stuff,
writing.
just in my house writing.
Yep.
I
hope that we'll see like this. I'm sure we will, but just this post-COVID prolific art era.
I guarantee there's going to be an
everything
explosion.
That's gonna be, exploding from what just happened. So.
How big is your group? Is it growing every day? Is it where can we find
it? Yeah, you mean the Austin Movie Makers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's on hold right now. I mean, and Blake was asking me like, "Are you going to start it again?" And I want to, but I'm just so strapped for time. Like I work a 9 to 5. I've got 2 side hustles now, and like.
Get it.
I just feel like so strapped for time,
Gotcha.
But it is super fun, and if Austin Movie Gear is still in business, which I think they are, but I'm not sure. I haven't even checked.
I love Austin Movie Gear.
I know, I love those guys. So that's where we would host it, and they would host us there. So they were my pals.
There was one last festival in December-ish of 2019. Was that you guys? Was that Austin Movie Makers Festival?
It might have been, yeah. We did a little festival of all of our
like some
films.
documentaries?
I don't know if there were any
I
docs.
put a film into a festival at Austin Movie Gear like last minute, and they actually put it in.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
And it was like second to last one.
Oh, that's awesome, yeah. They we did do a big screening at the end of like all of our films, but it was only films that had been made with our group, so it probably wasn't that one.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, this was like a whole collection of a bunch of different people.
And it was so fun, yeah.
It was I love that little room. I've been wanting to go back there.
Were there any good Western films in that screening? Because if there were, they were probably from our group. We did really good Westerns.
No, actually there wasn't. There was a lot of like documentary films that were really good. And I did this little commercial that I shot from up north. I just said, I'll just throw it in this little festival and hope for the best. And people loved it. It wasn't really supposed to like kill, but the whole room lit up.
That's
and it's like, it's just unforgettable how a crowd of people can be can like feed you in terms of like reacting to your film and stuff like that, especially if you've worked on it.
Yeah, it's
that's
a super
huge
cool experience to have people get it,
Exactly. And even not so, just like laugh wherever you think is funny, and I'll be like, that was funny. Okay, well, I'll work on that next time.
Yep, absolutely.
It's such an amazing learning experience.
Totally.
When do you think you'll be starting back up?
I'm hopeful this year, maybe the fall, I feel like I need to so I've been away for a while. I went to North Carolina to visit my fiance's family.
Yeah.
We just went and stayed in his mother's cabin for like 9 months just to kind of get out of Austin. We were kind of bored in quarantine.
Can I borrow that cabin? I feel like I haven't gotten out of Austin yet.
It's a great cabin. It's out on a mountain in Asheville. And so I just got back, so I just kind of need to settle into like work and life, and like it's already moving at such a fast pace since getting back from COVID. So
cool.
I just kind of need to like get my bearings, and then I do want to bring it back because it was just the best. It was like such a prime time.
That's really amazing that you were able to start this and get it going. Blake and I have both how long have you known Blake? When did you meet him?
We haven't actually met in person. This is our first time meeting in person, right, Blake?
Awesome. Yeah, tell her a little bit about yourself and how you moved to Austin.
Well, it's kind of a long story, but I'll keep it short. But my dad used to make home videos of me and my family growing up, so that's what kind of got me into the film industry. But I also liked watching animated movies and stuff growing up, and I was like, how are these made? And so I thought, well, since I like operating cameras and I like movie equipment, maybe I might, and I like the arts and the theater and stuff like that. I thought, I'll go ahead and major in it in college and see if I can get some training.
Yeah.
And so I went to college at OTC and then to Missouri State and graduated May of 19. And then I started talking to people like you and Corey on Facebook to the filmmaking group. And I was like, hey, I'm going to be moving down here in March. And then I have to change it to May because of COVID. I was saying I'm going to move down here. I'm going to meet you someday, and because I'm a filmmaker and I'm trying to network with other filmmakers and actors, and I've been very successful with that.
Yeah,
and I'm glad I am too, because that's how I met you, and that's how I met Corey, and I met Julian, and I met lots of other filmmakers and actors, and that's basically how I get my film gigs, is by networking.
Mm-hmm. That's something that really impressed me about you when we met online, was just like how eager you were, and like so ready to go. You're just like looking for people, looking for gigs.
Yeah,
You're
it's
like
like,
just getting out there, and I appreciate
What's your
that about you.
excuse for not being out making films? That was his vibe. I'm like,
Totally.
it's like, all right.
Yeah. I was like, okay, we can be friends. It's funny that you mentioned the home video thing, because I feel like our generation, millennials, was the generation of like when we were children, our parents had like camcorders and they were like so excited about them, you know?
Yeah.
So like, and I feel like that had this like weird impact where we saw ourselves on the screen from like a very young age. At least I did. I don't know if you had the same experience.
It became
Blake,
more and
did,
more
like,
accessible as we went
they
forward.
would film some home videos and then put them on, and you got to see yourself on the TV. And like I feel like that was the beginning of like, oh, I could make, you know, like it made movies
amazing.
like very accessible. Yeah.
Yeah, and exactly, and the camcorders that they used, you know, I mean, at least the camcorders that my dad used, they would say like December 13th, 1997.
Right.
And it would show the
They would
time
have the
too.
little date stamp. Yeah.
I had a different experience. I grew up playing a lot of video games and doing a lot of different writing type of stuff. But when I got to college and I walked into the media studies and production classroom and saw 20 plus editing bays essentially, plus a giant green screen studio back there. I'd been into films as anybody else is, but when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is. I picked up the editing programs and the post production side of things first, and I looked at it. Oh, this is a video game.
Yeah.
And then just did only that. I remember up north, I took the bus, so there was the last bus leaving, and I was always full sprinting to catch the last bus because I was so enthralled with what I was doing.
Yep. I feel like that with video editing, man. You just get in there and time just disappears.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was always like spending hours doing that as well.
And I've been able to replicate that with other films that I've made and turn it into a business. And I took a very entrepreneurial approach to it early on. But also on top of that, when I graduated in 2014, out of the 2-year, I went to a 4-year after that and got a BA. But in 2014, when I graduated from media studies, that summer I worked on a full professional feature film as just a PA gopher, just like sub PA. Had no idea what I was doing, but it was the most amazing amount of like training you could get. Like just one day on a professional set, and I thought I knew everything. But it was so overwhelmingly enriching to the craft and to the art form, and how everybody was there giving 150% just to put their best foot forward to make this one thing. And then the premiere, like a couple years later, seeing the premiere and seeing how each shot got put together, and you look at like 1 3-second shot, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that day. It was like raining.
I know, that's the best. You have like a whole memory, like a whole day of like that one scene.
Exactly.
Or, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I love too when I did a lot of PAing when I first moved here, and like I love how
so you
when
worked
you're
on a lot of like professional shoots kind of thing. Nice.
I love when you're shooting a commercial and like, I don't know, like say a restaurant or just whatever on location, and when you first arrive, it's unfamiliar, and then by the end of the day, you like know all the ins and outs of like that entire space. And, like you feel like you've lived there for like a year. It's just been one 12-hour day. You know?
Exactly.
The first feature that I was a PA on was hilarious. It was called Cowboys versus Dinosaurs, and
That's amazing.
Got on it on a total whim. I was like 19. I was really young. It was like before I graduated. Yeah, it was like my first summer freshman year.
It sounds like something Michael Bay would make or something.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was in Montana where my family lives, and so funny, like so much special effects. I was in wardrobe. I ended up being a wardrobe PA, so I was like steaming clothes like constantly, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was so tired. I remember like I fell asleep on set like at least a couple times, and they were like, Savannah, like you can't do that. But really fond memories looking back, and it's on Netflix. You can watch it. It is hysterical. It is such a funny movie to watch. But
what's it called again?
Cowboys versus Dinosaurs.
I feel like I've seen that floating around. I gotta watch it.
Sci-Fi Channel and like anonymous content. It was kind of like fairly big production names for.
It feels like a Sharknado type of
It
irreverent film.
basically is. Yeah, it was like Sci-Fi Channel, so it was.
That's
classic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The first film I was on was nothing like that. It was a horror film, super fun because the guy who was working on it had 25 years of experience doing practical effects.
Okay.
So he had puppets and makeup, and he brought a full-size shipping container of effects gear up to northern Minnesota in the middle of nowhere and just like made, zombie dogs come to life. It was super fun.
That's
he had this like amazing looking, lifelike looking zombie dog attached to a skateboard with a couple of controller joysticks on it.
Huh.
And at the very end of the film, spoiler alert, I'm the dude like pushing the zombie dog towards
Yes.
as like
That's
the last
awesome.
person gets killed or whatever. And yeah, it was super fun just to be on the other side of that. And but I mean, zombies versus dinosaurs, anything versus dinosaurs.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I'm sold.
Gotta be there.
I'm
yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
Shut up and take my
and
money.
like, yeah, it was all cowboy wardrobe and like, oh man, it was just too
Western?
funny.
Kind
Yeah,
of a
yeah.
Western?
It was all
That's
like,
awesome.
I was constantly steaming like, just like button-up shirts, Western shirts and stuff. So funny.
What are your favorite? What are your influences for filmmaking in your own films?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite movies, I have kind of weird favorites, but David Fincher is definitely a go-to. Like I just love that dark kind of thriller vibe.
Yeah.
But I also love just like the really indie stuff. Like I mentioned before, we were talking about mumblecore and like the whole mumblecore movement.
And you've spearheaded that movement.
No. Yeah, no. I'm very much coming into the tail end. Yeah, I want to spearhead mumblecore 2.0 for sure.
Okay.
Millennial mumblecore. Yes, I'm there for it. I don't know. Like, I want to say my favorite movie is still Garden State, which is like such a like it's not that great of a movie. Like looking like it doesn't entirely hold up, but I still really love like I don't know. It just like hit a tone with me at a certain age. I really liked it. I like Zach Braff. He's quirky, so quirky. And then I don't know. I'm not very good. I'll be honest. Like as a filmmaker, I need to watch more. I actually have a hard time watching films, which is weird. But I've been getting really into like the TV thing has really changed the way I consume content. Like I'm way more likely to watch a series than a movie these days. I have a hard time sitting down to watch a movie because I feel like I'm going to commit to the story and these characters, and then it's going to be over like in one
That's
sitting.
funny. I feel like that for series because you have to keep coming back to it.
That's true.
I like sit down.
It's almost worse because you get really
done.
invested, and then if there's no season 2, then
That and also it's like I'll do a season. I'll do another episode.
Oh yeah, I
like
love
6
binge.
hours instead of 1.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But that's the weird thing. That's what's ironic about it is you would think like psychologically you're absorbing more content over time, but it feels like less because of the nature of the 45 minutes.
Yeah, the narrative of it, and you find out a thing.
So I feel like I need to eventually
later.
just switch to writing TV. I haven't actually made the jump to write TV though. What's weird is I just continue writing shorts or features. So,
how many features do you have that you're ready to shoot?
Oh, none. No.
Okay.
Yeah. Ideas though, lots.
Me too.
But scripts, no. Yeah. I have one that's maybe even close, but it's like I've only written like the first act, but I actually have the whole outline.
That's awesome.
But it would be a comedy.
Have you taken screenwriting classes? Or do you know quite a bit
I've
about
done
it?
a lot of screenwriting. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was lucky enough to go to a boarding arts high school for a couple of years before college. So I got theater education and film education prior to college, and part of that was screenwriting as well. And I had just like a really good storytelling teacher there.
Oh,
and
cool.
he was so nice, and he would sit down with students one-on-one. You could book time with him, and he would look at any script that you brought him, and he would give you his honest opinion and like just sit down with you and go through it. And I feel like that just made me like such a better writer.
I love that. I love amazing teachers.
I know. I feel like I embarrassed myself because I saw him at a reunion and I was like crying. I was like, I just want you to know like what a good teacher you were. And like he just seemed like he was like, okay. Like I was like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. Yeah. But I think good teachers get such a bad rep for teaching. When actually I think teaching is its own art, and it's very cool as well. And I teach nonprofit, for photography and
cool.
And some film stuff. And
so you're a photography teacher?
Just at the Refuge.
Is that one of your side hustles?
Well, it doesn't make me any money, so no.
Okay.
I mean, photography is, but but not teaching it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's like
teaching photography. I've always actually wanted to do that. We're actually adjacent not to shout out somebody we don't know, but Austin School of Photography is like
yeah.
one door down.
Okay.
I haven't reached out.
I'm familiar with
quite
the
yet.
School of Film, not as familiar with the School of Photography.
Yeah, there's a whole. I was going to say that there's a whole bunch of groups that do like meetups and kind of do what the Austin Movie Makers thing is.
Oh.
It sounds like yours is way more productive.
It was very productive, if nothing else.
Because I like Austin Film, I went to one of their meets and it was okay. And the people running it were kind of going out the door. They were like full-time lives and kids and everything that are just starting to happen. So they just wanted to pass the torch to somebody.
Right. I think I remember that.
Filmmaker Space. And a bunch of other, not a bunch, but like the filmmaker groups on Facebook are usually pretty productive because if you put out a casting call there, you usually get excuse me, you usually get crew and things like that. So to have a group where you just show up with a script and it gets made that month.
It was so cool. And sometimes we didn't even start with the script. So actually what we would do was we would raffle off the genre at the meeting. So we would all put into a hat like what genre we wanted to do. And so that's how we came up with like a Western and like we got a thriller and a horror. We did all kinds of silly stuff. But so then like you had to write it basically in 1 week. Pre-pro it basically in 1 week, shoot it in a weekend, and then edit it in 1 week. And then by that time, it was time to screen it at the next meeting. So that's
a good time frame.
Yeah, it really was because you can't take it too seriously, like that you take 6 months to a year with it.
Yeah.
But it's also not a 48-hour film that is just trash. No offense to like sometimes there are really good ones, but a lot of 48-hour films you just do it because you love to do it. You don't do it because the film ends up that good. They're kind of silly, you know.
Yeah. You also it's a great crew building experience.
Yeah, it's like a team building experience.
I did it once. I was going to do it this year.
Are you laughing because I called them trash?
But Blake, did you do the 48-hour this year?
No, we were going to, but apparently for some personal reasons and for some other reasons, the director decided to call it off. Apparently, which is kind of fortunate for me because it would. It's unfortunate that I didn't get to do it, but it was fortunate that because it was going to be an all-nighter. We would have been filming all night.
Yep.
And so I don't like to do stuff like that, but
and it's very gratifying though.
It is
that way.
And I'm going to be honest here, but if they said you'll get paid for this, then I would have stayed up. But but since it was an unpaid thing, I was like, no, I'm glad they called it off.
Well, 48-hour is kind of an exception in my mind because what you're doing is you're trying to build a crew that you eventually take with you to do other different productions that may pay, and you'll have an easier way to access people you can depend on because you've already been in like essentially the worst case scenario, which is you have 48 hours to finish this thing and you got to depend on people.
This is actually an
crew.
Interesting conversation because like I would get a lot of shit sometimes on Facebook if you ever post something that's not paid, right?
100%.
You'll get a bunch of shit and I'm like,
sorry about that.
No. But it's like
I do the same thing.
you give shit or you make
There's
posts?
some known people in the Austin community like that pay like sub $7 an hour.
Right. And so
they say a
I
daily
definitely
rate.
disagree with that. Like I definitely think you should be paid and paid well. Or like a paid production. But what's weird about the film industry and other artistic industries is that like these things are also just fun. Like sometimes you just want to do them.
Yeah.
So my thing is always like, if you don't want to do it for fun, then just say no to the post or just ignore it.
Yeah.
But then but people will be like, why is this free? And
They're
I'm
so
like,
mad about it.
because this is my hobby. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah.
I want to do it. And like, if you want to do it, then come do it with us.
Yeah,
but if you don't want to do it
Yeah.
and you want to get paid, I don't know. So it's a very strange industry in that sense because like there's not a lot of other industries that are like nobody's like, I want to go do plumbing or like I want to go do construction for fun on the weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just want to make a dumb film and
so
have my
like
friends acting in. And all that
yeah,
good stuff.
so like
Yeah.
it's weird. There's so much like shame around doing it for free or like animosity, I guess. Like I guess there just needs to be some kind of regulation or something, I don't know, around that because
it's just like a separate community because there are people out here. So here's where I think the main cause of friction is happening. It's because professionals in the area are charging a certain rate, a livable rate. I know a friend of mine. He's a boom operator and sound mixer. He doesn't do anything for less than $600 a day. That makes sense.
Yep.
So if he sees a crew call and says, "Hey, I got this hobby film I'm doing, and I need a sound mixer, and it's unpaid,"
Right.
he'll look at that and say, "Well, somebody in this market is
going to take
it for zero,
Right.
and it's going to incentivize people in the future
Right.
to pay less,
Right.
or gawk at his price, even though he's a professional. He's been doing it for years,
Right.
and he's getting good work. Shout out to Miles Blunt, but that's the example, and that can be multiplied for the perceptions of everybody in the group, and it's just it's a totally separate worlds where.
But I feel like there's always going to be people
like crew.
Yeah, I feel like there's always going to be people that are up and coming, that need experience, that don't know what they're doing, or that want to get paid less.
Yeah.
Like, I charge less for photography than I do for videography because I haven't done as much commercial photography.
Sure.
You know, I've done it as a hobby my whole life, but I haven't done as much as I have for videography. So, like, I feel like there's always going to be people who will accept those lower paying gigs, and then you're always going to get to a point where you won't accept them anymore.
Sure.
And I don't know, I at least am trying to cultivate the mindset that there's enough for everyone, and like if you charge what you charge, like you're going to find
I agree
work,
with you
and
there.
like and other people are going to get to work on their lower paying ones if that's what they need or want to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I'm with you. It's a weird.
Yeah, there's
weird
definitely.
time.
I love that perception. There's an abundance. There's plenty of work for everybody.
Yeah, there's a ton.
There's such a revolution of video production happening now
Yes.
that everybody has a brand. Everybody has something that they want to put out there, commercial, photography, whatever. Nobody's buying photo prints, though. I found out.
I agree. Yeah.
And that's part of my business. What I've been focusing on this year is trying to get that going. But that's going to be the next revolution. That's going to be bigger than mumblecore.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is
The
buying
Mumblecore
photos.
2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you you mean like personal photographs, like your family portraits, or do you mean like
No, that's
great
very
studio
weird. Who
shots?
sells their? This is my sister.
No, like if
and-
you you
What?
got family portraits taken, if I got family portraits taken
Sure.
of my family, I would order prints to hang on my wall. That's what I mean.
Sure.
From the photographer.
Right.
But like you're talking about like I did a studio shoot with a model and I want to sell a print. And you're saying it's hard to sell that
mainly
kind of work.
like nature photos and cityscapes, waterscapes,
that stuff's
things like
way
that.
harder to sell now, I think.
Essentially,
I feel like it's because
what
you
I
can just
found,
find it on your Instagram, you know?
Yeah.
People
Essentially,
feel like
if you,
they have access to that.
if you mark on an Instagram, I feel like I haven't tried it, but I've essentially been trying every other route that doesn't work.
Well, no, what I'm
But
saying is
I've been learning a bunch
I feel like
about
the
it.
industry of prints is dead because we have prints in our hand.
Nah,
Like,
holding
in
a
our
print
photo.
still.
Oh, you're
There's
like
still something there.
hardcore print guy.
Well, I mean, it's the world is kind of going into a post-humanism type of place where everything's in your phone.
Right.
But here's what I've learned. I've had more experience and more success in person when I hand somebody a photo that they're holding in their hand, can buy right then and there and have it physically. I've had way more success that way than on the phone because everything kind of appears the same on the phone.
Interesting.
So I feel like the only way you could really sell that is in physical form, setting up tables at conventions and other art markets and things like that.
Yeah,
and
little
sell it
art
that
galleries
way.
and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I've learned a ton about that, and it's just been an incentive to learn the market, learn what's being bought and sold, just do a bunch of research. And I've taken this whole year to commit to that. And here's how I look at it. I've sold 3 prints from my gallery this year, and here's how I look at it. That's a 300% increase from last year.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing you got to look at it to keep going. So I mean, it sounds like from the movies you're making, you can put that on your resume as, we made 12 films. We're
Right.
extremely productive.
Yeah.
Fast turnaround, 1 month.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like I get a producer credit on all of these just because I started the group.
Yeah, and you said that if you're not on set, that it doesn't get made.
I was on at least all of them.
There's your slogan.
Yeah. You need the power.
What obviously the position that you fell into naturally has been directing, right? And producing and kind of being the assembler essentially of crew and things like that. So you bring in you either bring in people that you know and trust that can fill a role, or you handle the natural production of pre-production, writing, that kind of thing. So what is something that you want to strive for on a professional level? I know you said you've worked on PA stuff, so do you want to get a producer credit, like a paid producer credit, and source people?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So I've had an interesting experience with like commercial professional production. Like I was a PA for a while. I did some second AD work as well. And I found that I actually don't love like the way the industry is right now. So like I don't love the 12 to 15 hour days. I don't love like people being like grind it out or bust, you know, like I'm very much a millennial in that I feel like life should be life with a little work in it, not work with a little life in it.
Yeah.
And the mindset of production is very old school. It's very like, you know, kind of grind or die, and you have to work your way up this ladder. If you're lucky, you'll get to the top. And like, I don't know. I just have no like desire to like.
This city's too big for you, kid.
Yeah,
go back to where you came from.
I'm like, okay, I don't know. Like, I would honestly rather like, and I feel like I was never told this growing up. I was often encouraged to do what I love for a living, which I think is like, you would think is like the perfect thing to hear, you know? But I also feel like I have burned myself out trying to do it as a living, and I've also found that like, so now I work for a startup, so I have a 9 to 5, which I've never had before. I've always been a freelancer, and I'm really enjoying like this stability of that, even though it's like not a great paycheck, it's a startup, but like the stability of that, and like I love my coworkers. We're building something new. It's in a creative industry. It's about photographers and videographers and building community. And
what's it about? You're
so
talking
it's
around.
It's called Blended Sense, and we're trying to build a technology that's going to match videographers and photographers to paid gigs. So similar to Upwork and Fiverr, but the difference is
about 100 others.
And a lot of others.
Aperture.
But have you ever gotten work off any of those?
No.
Exactly. Something's broken.
I tried Thumbtack.
Me too. And then you have to bid, right? And the bidding process sucks.
You bid for it, and there's transparency issues with the clients. It's essentially just aggravating for the clients because they never actually get to see a price until they see one price.
Exactly.
And it could be astronomical.
Right.
So there's perceptual errors on there, and it's different errors on every website. And there's like that Honeybug book.
Yep.
There's 100 others. So what makes yours stand out? What's it called?
So Blended Sense.
Sense.
Our goal is eventually it's going to use AI to match. So a customer signs up with Blended Sense. They know they need, let's say, photos and videos.
Sure.
They sign up. They get matched to a creative team that's local. So no matter where they are, they get a local photographer and a local videographer that are vetted in our network. That we know and trust, and that we've looked at their work and worked with them, and we can say, yep, go out and shoot this. And basically our internal team does all of the pre-pro. We send out a shot list with the videographer and the photographer. We say, capture this, and then give us the raw back, and then we do all the post-processing as well.
Okay, like a marketing media house, essentially.
Kind of, yeah, but the network of actual execution. So like all the actual shooting is done by a network.
Sure.
And that way we can ensure quality because we're doing all the pre and the post, but we're getting gigs to these creatives. So if a creative is like a videographer, let's say they're freelance and they're kind of new to it, so they still have a lot of gaps in their schedule. They're not making as much money as they want to be. They still have, a few days a week when they're not shooting. They could sign up with Blended Sense, and they'll just get matched like without having to do any work. Like as long as they're in the network, they'll just get a text that says, hey, you want this gig?
I like that.
They don't have to do any searching. They don't have to do any bidding. It's just, hey, we want you. Are you available?
Yeah.
And they can say yes or no, and it's not held against them if they're unavailable. And so that's what we're building, and our goal is just to stimulate the creative economy, make it like an Uber option for creatives. You can, hey, I need more work this month. I'll let Blended Sense know I'm available, and they'll send me out on some gigs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've done delivery for Favor, which is a company based here in Austin, and they kind of do the same thing. You use AI and your GPS and proximity for you related to a job.
Yeah.
And the best paid gigs I found out were at HEB, the fleet orders, where they just bring out groceries. You don't have to shop for anything. They just show up.
Exactly.
And I go deliver it. So I would hang out in the parking lot of an HEB, get those gigs, and then go out and do them. It was fantastic. It was a great side hustle.
Yeah.
So you're using AI based. That sounds expensive.
Yeah, I mean, there is some tech development. We're building our own platform, and we've got a tech development team in India, I believe.
Cool.
And we've done a couple rounds of funding, and we're kind of scraping by. It's not been a glory story yet or anything.
Sure.
Nobody's pouring money into it yet.
Not yet,
but we've got a few dedicated investors, and I think it's going well. I'm not one of the founders, so I'm not purview to every conversation.
You get to be part of the startup culture.
Yeah, it's been cool. I never thought I would enjoy being part of a tech company. Like, never expected to work for a startup or a tech company. So, have you told your crew members at your startup that you make films on the weekends? Oh yeah, they know all that. Yep.
Drag them into your thing.
I actually started out as a videographer in the network,
awesome.
then I got hired part time and then full time, and I've been climbing the
ranks.
ranks.
So did you try it out like an early version? Is this already out already?
Yep, I was on it before there was an app. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, the app is out. It's not mobile yet, but it's on the web.
Okay.
You can sign up at app.blendedsense.com and start getting gigs.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. Blended Sense.
Yep.
Would you sponsor our podcast? We could bring on people
I don't think we have the cash flow for that.
I know we run a very expensive production here.
Yeah, you know.
You could tell.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Blake, do you have anything else to add here?
Yes, I do. So, so besides your business, do you have any other goals for the future? Like is there anything like big you want to do?
Yeah. I definitely want.
Blake is thinking big picture.
I know, right? I still do. So I have like a documentary that I really want to finish, and I need to, like do a feature at some point. I think before I die, I'm gonna have to do a feature. Actually, ideally before I'm 30, but I'm running out of time. I think, I don't know, I just kind of want to keep making stuff. I've taken a lot of the pressure off of myself to like be a filmmaker or make something very specific. And like, I'm just getting into content creation in general. Like, I feel like as long as I'm making something, I'm satisfied. So
cool.
But yeah, I think a feature would be dope. I have this, like I said, this documentary that I really just need to finish eventually.
What's it about?
So that one is a personal cinema
Mumblecore?
documentary. No, it's a personal cinema documentary. So it's me telling my own story about something that happened to me. So
so autobiography.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So if you've seen, man, there were some good ones out there that I haven't seen in a while, but I forget all the names of them. But I was essentially cyber stalked in high school by an anonymous person, and it ended up being this really crazy ride. So it fits very well in the true crime era that we're in right now.
There's been horror movies made about that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So.
Sorry about that, brother. No,
thank you. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I've gotten that joke before. Yeah. So it was a wild time, and I feel like said a lot about just technology and where it was at, and what it did to my family, what it did to me.
Yikes.
And, so I've recorded most of the interviews. It's probably like 80% done, but like the weird thing about a documentary about yourself is like, how do you end it? Like, I'm like, I don't know what the end is to this story. Like, I'm still figuring it out. So
trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a weird one.
That's
to end.
terrifying. It's got to be terrifying.
Yeah, it was scary for a while. Yeah.
Like bullying, stalking.
Yeah, that stuff is really messed up.
People creating like derogatory pages about you online.
And fake accounts and stuff. It's horrifying.
That sucks.
I feel lucky when I see like worse stories. I feel lucky. Like, at least they didn't make a fake account, or at least they didn't, do X, Y, Z. So.
I got shot at. At least nobody photoshopped me.
Yeah.
Not to minimize it, but there's different struggles, strokes for different folks.
And that
kind of
can
thing.
make it hard too, because there's some wild stories out there that have come out recently of murders, and Audrey and Daisy was like tragedy. I don't know if you've seen that one, but it was the two high school girls that committed suicide after being bullied. I think only one of them actually committed suicide. But
I know the Slender Man thing happened. Not in my town, but in the neighbor state of Wisconsin. And I know the city that it happened in, which is wild, because that was like an influence for the internet. It was like some folk Slenderman. Yeah. And like some 12-year-old went out and like murdered somebody, and now they're in prison for, they got tried as an adult, and now they're in prison forever. And
that's crazy.
they've written letters and appealed to try to get out of it. It's like, no, you You did some horrific
this.
shit.
Yeah.
Based on some creepypasta.
Right.
So the level of influence the internet can have over somebody, especially young people. When did you get your phone? When did you
my first
have access to it?
iPhone was like 2010.
How old were you?
17?
Okay.
16 or 17. It was like my junior year, I think. So I'd had like a flip phone up until then. I think I had something in between for a while that was like smart but not very smart.
Grow up the flip phone and
Then it was touchscine, but it wasn't an iPhone.
The weird in between.
Yeah.
That was the most Austin thing ever.
I still liked the NV2 the best.
I was an LG rumor guy.
Oh yeah, I definitely had an LG.
Yeah.
It was LG, but it wasn't rumor. I don't think.
Flip up keyboard.
Yeah.
Loved it. It.
My boyfriend our fiance now, just went back to a flip phone. He's got a legit flip phone. He can't do shit on it. Like he can't. If he's lost, he has to call me and be like, "Can you look up where I am on GPS?" And texting takes a really long time.
That's tough. Thing. Yeah, moving to another city is a different ball game because I can't get anywhere without a GPS now. It's just how it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been doing like some delivery driving for extra cash, and I'm like, how was delivery done like 10 years ago? I guess it really wasn't.
You just have to be a townie. You have to have lived there
or like
your whole
taxis.
life.
Like I think about taxis without GPS.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's why I was bigger in New York City.
I got a whole comedy bit about that, about taxi drivers.
Do you do comedy?
They just follow the North Star.
Yeah.
And that's how they get you there. They just go by intuition and following the stars.
Truth.
Like a kind of like a Navy captain or something like Gesundheit.
Thank you.
And then in Uber, if you call an Uber, you get inside, it's always like the same like non-invasive indie pop music at a low volume.
I know.
About 75 or 76 if you pay for Uber Plus, air fresheners plugged into the
Unless
vents.
it's like 2 a.m., then you get like that crappy rap that's just like, I don't know, and like some cologne, and you're like, oh.
I haven't Ubered from the bar blasted before. I haven't gotten to that
I don't
point.
think if I ever have. I was sober for 2 years, so if I have, it's been a while.
I've gotten framed to be that guy though. I work security, and I had to take Ubers from my house to work at 4 a.m. And this Uber driver picked me up, and he had been driving all night. It was like a Sunday morning at 4 a.m. So he had been driving all Saturday night, and when I got to work, he said he was just going to get off his shift, and 2 days later I got a maximum cleaning fee.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody had puked in the back of his car.
That's
and
crazy.
I got the thing for it.
No.
And the way Uber does it, watch out, because if you take an Uber home drunk and you don't remember the night before, Uber drivers can frame you and they can max out the cleaning fee.
Wow.
And then, college kids would be like, oh shit, I don't remember what happened.
That's nuts.
Of course they're going to blame themselves in that situation.
Right.
And I was like stone sober driving to work like, oh hell no.
Even when I was at my drunkest, I could always get myself home. I always knew where I was.
Yeah.
I was always taking care of the friends.
Survival
I never
instincts.
really I never blacked out. Yeah. I don't know why.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. I'm glad though.
You're a pro.
It would have been a much scarier time if I had blacked out.
Sponsored by Jack Daniels. Drink responsibly. Drink responsibly. Having adventures, going out and drinking, and do you only drink, or what? Do you have all kinds of different fun?
Yeah, so I used to drink more heavily, and then, like I said, I was sober for about 2 years and went through some AA and focused on just
good for you.
Kind of questioning my relationship to alcohol and what I wanted that to be. And as of like December of last year, I'm drinking again and moderating quite well, I think.
Cool.
So I'm feeling good about that. And I do smoke a little weed on occasion, but I found that it's making me feel like shit too. So the thing is just like I felt really good sober. You sleep good, you exercise, you're on top of your shit, and then like as soon as you have substances, I feel like, for me at least, like I feel worse. I'm sleeping like crap. Like I go way too ham. Like now I'm more addicted to weed than I was ever to alcohol. So it's just like you just trade in addictions for other addictions, and I think eventually I'll be sober again, but right now I'm enjoying beer too much. So yeah. What about you guys? How do you feel about alcohol in general, and how is Jack Daniels really your sponsor?
They are. They
Wow.
just re-upped their sponsor. One of our studio owners is just really, really good at reaching out to people.
That's very cool.
And I don't even touch alcohol.
He's not up to alcohol at all.
I can't even blame you. I can't even blame you at all.
I'm a social drinker. I can have a cool drink here and there, and on birthday parties or whatever, and or at bars, and I don't mind it. I'll have one or two, and I'll cut myself off.
Yeah.
And if I'm out with friends, and there's that influence to go to one bar to another,
Yeah.
I just have this great response in my pocket. They're like, come on with us, come on, and I'm like, I don't want to. I'm not cool enough.
Yeah.
They don't know what to say to that. They're like, okay.
They're like, all right.
And it's such an easy out. And I think like the next step to that is like, it's the 2 words. You say, my kid. So if you have a kid.
What if you don't
and
have
you-
a kid?
and
It's
you
just a
wanna
better
drink-
prank. You're just like, sorry, I got a kid at home. And they're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, you have to like get a cat or something.
Yeah.
I have to, my cat.
My cat, yeah.
The
My
sadder,
cat doesn't like it when I drink.
The sadder it sounds, and the more out of the blue it is, like you be the life of the party and be like, all right, I'm not cool enough. They'll just be like dumbfounded. Because there's a certain point where it just it's like a crescent moon.
Oh, definitely.
Going out drink, even at home drinking,
Oh,
it's
definitely.
just like there's this
You're
moment
always
of like,
chasing the first
we're gonna
drink or
win
the
this
first-
game.
Yeah.
No, I drink in moderation. There was moments in college where the only food in my fridge was alcohol, but that was only because of finals week. That was nothing else. I ate all the food.
Yeah.
But no. As far as like drinking, I'm very moderate with it. I'm a fun drunk.
Yeah.
Get drunk off like 1 beer. It doesn't take much.
Yeah.
It really doesn't take much to get me talking. But we're sponsored by Jack Daniels. We're sponsored by Cacti Hard Seltzer.
Nice.
And
I still haven't tried. Actually, I think I had my first hard seltzer this like a month ago.
What'd you think of it?
It was good, I guess. It was fine. Yeah. But it was funny, like, that whole craze was just, like, during my sobriety, so I just had never tried one. And everyone was like, what do you mean you've never had one?
It's very clean.
He's going right there. Perfect.
Yeah, there you
what
go.
flavor is that? Mango? It looks like mango or something.
Our tech Maurice over here just hanging out.
Oh, pineapple, maybe.
Got Cacti right there.
Cacti. All right, let me have a sip
for
on
our
camera. I'll
viewers.
give a real review.
That's the
give
way
a
to
real
sponsor
review.
something.
Yeah, right? Agave. It's like,
All right. On the podcast, Cacti. What flavor?
pineapple.
Pineapple.
Smells like a beer, which is weird.
Beautiful agave flavor. Deliciousness.
Not as sweet as some of the other ones. So if you're into like a little more bitter,
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's like there's less than 1 gram of sugar in here.
all right,
So I know a big complaint of a lot of the other seltzers was
too sweet.
yeah, it was too sweet, or it was like a really sugary. Sugar and alcohol don't mix well,
Yeah.
especially the morning after.
Yeah.
So I think this one is the most naturally brewed Cacti hard seltzer.
It's interesting. I'm trying to place the flavor. Like, I guess it's the agave.
It is also 7% alcohol, so drink responsibly.
7%.
Okay, it goes down like
Feels
a.
strong. Like it tastes strong to me.
Yeah.
It tastes spicy.
I had one when we just got the cases, so they're fresh, and I drank one, and I was more drunk than I realized because I was
Yeah.
just sitting here hanging out, and we had got them, and when I stood up after drinking one, I was like, oh shit.
Like, whoa.
Yeah, you get that. Oh, I'm drunk. I am actually drunk. Like your body tells you. It's
Yeah,
like, whoa
yeah.
there. Stop walking so fast.
Yeah, I found that cider overseas too is a lot stronger. I think because
Overseas?
yeah, like in Ireland and England.
Oh, cool.
I had visited over there
You're a
when
world
I was
traveler?
younger. A
World
little bit, not
filmmaker?
too many. Thailand's
Okay.
the farthest I've gone, and that was
How
cool.
was that?
Amazing. Yeah, Thailand's really cool.
Do you want to make films in other countries?
Oh
or
no,
try to?
I can't imagine like the permitting and like the foreign the language
Ah.
barriers and like no thanks. It's hard enough. Hard enough in the U.S.
As long as it's all paid for, it'd be fun.
Yeah. If someone else is like doing the logistics, heck yeah, I'll show up and direct it.
I should introduce you to one of our other podcast guests. Shout out Elias Bakar. He's an international filmmaker from Tunisia, Africa, and he's been all over the world. He shot films in
Wow.
Qatar and Turkey and
I feel like
all
people,
the ones they pretty much let you shoot in.
Yeah.
And he moved from New York down to here like less than 3 weeks ago, and was on our
Wow.
podcast, and he talked about all of his different experiences, like
Wow, that's
studying in
cool.
France and
Good for him.
studied real filmmaking over there because people
Yeah.
in France say that they think
they
they're
know.
the only filmmakers.
Yeah.
They know.
They know.
Yeah. No, but he's awesome. He's awesome, and like I said, he has years and years of experience shooting internationally. So he has crew that he can source in
Wow.
pretty much every country.
That's cool.
Which is a fantastic resource.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's somebody to meet if you want to go
Yeah,
shoot in
yeah.
Thailand or
That's
Ireland
really
or
cool.
somewhere. Because I know France is like a big spaghetti western type of place. You can
Yeah,
go there and shoot.
I can see that.
Like,
yeah.
what's his name? Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood out there. He shot all of his westerns in France.
Oh, I didn't
France
realize
and
that.
Italia.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
cool.
believe it or not.
That's really cool.
But yeah, so you were saying that, what were your influences? I think we were talking about that and got a little bit off track.
We were talking about, let's see, David Fincher, and then some more like indie films. It's been a while, like, since I watched anything that blew me away. I don't know. I feel like I watch a lot of random films here and there. I really
Sure.
like, Charlie Kaufman's an all-time favorite.
Okay.
Like I just watched the newest one, I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Have you seen that one?
I haven't.
Oh, so good.
This is like a dramatic film, sounds like?
Yeah. And
Wow.
In true Charlie Kaufman style, it's like very strange mix of reality. Like you're not really sure what's really happening and what's kind of in people's heads. And
I love that.
you very much have no idea what's going on for most of the film. I also really like the Duplos Brothers. Their film Horse Girl on Netflix is really interesting as well.
I got to see that one. Have you seen Horse Girl?
No, I have not.
What's it about?
It's about mental illness and alien abductions. And so you can't tell if she was really abducted by aliens or if she's just like got mental illness
Absurd.
or both. Like, so yeah, so.
Or there's an allegory in there where
Yeah,
she's losing the battle to her mental illness by
Exactly.
being abducted by her delusions.
Exactly, yeah.
Interesting.
And there's another similar show called Undone on Amazon Prime, which is animated and really beautiful. Also kind of about like mental illness and reality and like kind of the question of like, are they mentally ill or are they just tapping into something that we
I love this.
that we don't
You got to send me a
know
list
about.
of all three of these
Yeah,
because I love them. Psychological thrillers are
Yes,
one of my
yeah,
favorites.
they are some kind of.
The Machinist by Guillermo del Toro, 2004.
Oh man, I
Christian
haven't
Bale.
seen that one.
Christian Bale is known for losing like 100+ pounds just to fill the
Wow.
role of somebody who hasn't slept in an entire year.
Oh my gosh.
And it goes through, it's a beautifully put together film where you can't tell if he's having like sleepless delusions or in reality.
Right.
And it's a fantastic film. Still one of my favorites to this day. As
Okay, I'll have to watch that one.
a
'Cause Guillermo del
fantastic one.
Toro is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Pan's Labyrinth, everything that he's done is amazing.
Didn't he do that water one?
Waterworld?
With the water monster thing. Waterworld.
Yeah, that was just an improv kind of thing. I just threw that out there. Water thing is Waterworld.
Not
Kevin
Lady
Costner?
in the Water. That was M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah.
Oh,
this was
Lady in
more,
the Water.
No, but this was more recent. This was something with a lady and water, but not Lady in the Water.
Okay.
It was like in French or something. I don't remember. Maybe it was Spanish. It was probably Spanish if it was Guillermo del Toro.
I have a question for you about filmmaking, about a little bit of the technical side. I don't
Okay.
know how technical you get into your films.
I don't know.
Just
Hit me.
hit record on whatever. Would you watch like a feature or a series in like shot on a phone in portrait mode? Like do you care how wide the frame is? I'm curious because you said you're such a proud millennial. I'm very curious
It's a good question.
where your
I
threshold
still
is
haven't
for
seen
film.
Tangerines. I feel like that should say something about
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But not really for any good reason. Like I said, I'm just kind of bad about watching movies sometimes as a filmmaker. But
Yeah.
I think I would be curious about it. Like, I think I would watch it just because I'm kind of all about breaking the mold. Like, I also feel like if there's a reason for it, like if there's a good reason why they shot it in portrait mode,
Yeah.
then I am in for it.
Okay.
You know, like it can't just be to show off the iPhone or just because it's an iPhone. Like, it has to say something about like the time that we're in and like the technology that we live with and like,
Sure.
you know, for me to-
Establishing a character who likes filming.
it's
or
playing a
something
role
like
at that point in the film. So
That
make it
sounds
mean
like a fun
something.
like little exercise or something like that. Like what could you say with shooting in portrait mode on a phone. And I think you could establish a young character who is an aspiring filmmaker, just has a phone and films everything. You know, and that's how you could justify into feature professional film. You wouldn't actually shoot on a phone. You would just crop your cinema camera, or whatever you're shooting on, and do that in post. Or are you practical? Would you actually shoot on a phone?
Yeah, I think it, again, like, depends on what I'm trying to say, but I want to say I would shoot it on the actual phone. Like, I feel like the medium is so important. Like, in my documentary, I've used the same Handycam that I have since I was 11, which shoots on like little tapes and stuff like that.
Oh, little DV tapes. Yeah.
And and a lot of
I think
DV
Blake
tapes,
has one of those.
And a lot of people are like, "Oh, you should have just shot it regular in case you decide to do something else." But like, I'm all about making a choice and sticking with it, and like, like that was what I used growing up, and that was like, that's such a familiar look to me. That it says something about the era that I grew up in, so that's why I chose to use it.
It's sort of like I don't know, it's HD, but it's not. It has like this really embossed look.
It's very in between phase between the original camcorders and the ones that recorded onto like mini DVDs.
I feel like you really enjoy sort of the awkward stage of technology.
I kind of do, yeah. Like I feel like I kind of love the VHS era of filmmaking, and like because that's when it really became indie. That's when it really became
the
accessible.
Cameras were. Even the camera manufacturers were just like having this awkward stage of converting their cameras from film to digital and trying to make that work in one camera. The cameras were half the size of this table. There's like your home video camera. There you go.
Yeah, I feel like it used to be like it just changed the kinds of stories that were told and evened out the landscape a little bit more, I think, for indie filmmakers.
Would you edit tape to tape? Like, would you edit?
God, no. Yeah.
Me neither.
All about the digital editing, though. I'd never go back to splicing or anything. I'm one of those people who would shoot on a film camera but then, like, develop it at Walgreens. Because, like, I'm not going to, like, I don't have a dark room, unfortunately. I wish I did. Actually, if I found a dark room where I could do affordable rentals, I would totally do that because the dark room is dope.
There's a dark room here in this office building. Shout out to the person I never met before, but I've seen the dark room. Like somebody rents out an office space here, and you could tell it's obviously a dark room. There's little prints in there and things like that. I learned camera production and kind of the technical side of things. I got really into that side of, and in college, and basically I learned in reverse, right? So I learned the cutting edge. Cameras, post-production, everything you need to make the film on shoot day. And then I went to a 4-year college. I got a scholarship there, and I learned darkroom photography there. So I went from like taking pictures, like learning Photoshop and editing and things like that, and slowed way down to like getting a camera that they gave to us, like a little Canon AE1, shot on a prime lens, and just went out shooting. And just the process of developing it yourself, bringing it into the darkroom. They have projectors, exposure paper, things like that.
Fun.
Plus the added anxiety of 12 other students just figuring it out. You know, this is an elective class for some people and photography for another. And everybody had to share the darkroom. So you could have exposure paper out in the open, and just that added level of like
anxiety,
like attachment to your photos and making them like get out of the darkroom in safety. But besides all that, like just the process from start to finish, shaking up the little canister with the material, like rolling up the lens. Part. Rolling up the little film onto a roll, putting into the
I remember like the first time I was in one of those closets, like trying to get it from one spool to the other or whatever, and like I wanted to cry, and I was just like, why? Like
I got the best technique how to do that.
Yeah, I eventually figured it out and got good at it, but like the first time you're just like, what is this madness?
Yeah,
you know?
and you're in pitch black darkness, like.
And you're like, it's some
working?
project, and you like just spend all day shooting, and you're afraid you're gonna ruin it all.
I loved it. And after doing that production and that sort of thing, those photos that I made and the photos that I developed and put onto exposure paper and then matted them, I had so much attachment to those photos versus an SD card that can take 12,000 photos. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Not to say that I'm not connected to the photos that I've taken on my digital camera.
Yeah, but I feel like you'll always look back at that roll and like, you're just more attached.
It's just so much more tangible of a memory because you've been through every process. I can compare that. Are you not to change the subject too much, but are you like pro online class versus in? in-person classes? Like, would you go back to college and pay the tuition that it is and sit at your house online?
I don't know. Is it more than so like the same tuition?
Yeah.
No.
The same information you can get on YouTube, you can go to a college and somebody who's struggling to learn.
I wouldn't
even
I wouldn't even vote for going to film school college anymore. Like,
yeah, I hear that.
The boarding school I went to where I learned film, I got in 1 year what I ended up getting again in 4 years at university.
Nice.
So like, if you do some kind of a 1-year program or a 2-year program, I think that's like ideal. Or just YouTube. Like, to be honest, like. You know, YouTube is insane. You can learn anything on YouTube. It
really is amazing, and I've gotten better at using YouTube as a source for tutorials and things like that. But yeah, my point was like, so I took a couple of online classes in college, like pre-COVID and stuff, and like how I memorized things was different online because I could have 4 different tabs open, and the distraction ability was so much higher. You could you listen to music, hanging out, and you're just not in that mode. Versus like in-person classes, you're thinking about what's in your backpack. You're thinking about how fast you got to go to get there on time. You're sitting in class, and it's just your whole body is connected to learning in a classroom and being there. And then just jumping online abruptly, that just completely shears all that off, and you're trying to like remember things in that situation. So like I was against like online classes for the longest time because of that fact. It's like I can't remember anything. And even when I try to focus, it's like I'm staring at a screen, and it's like I'd rather read a book. But yeah, I can compare that to like old school like film photography. It's that same thing of like a really dense memory, or you're creating a really positive memory kind of thing.
Yeah, I still remember like, you know, like when I think back to college, like I just have memories of being in a certain classroom over and over again every day with like those weird friends that you make that just because you sit next to each other, you know, exactly, that you never see again after college.
You become best friends with somebody who's
just because you both drink Dunkin' Donuts.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have a hard time with all of the screen time these days. Like, you know, I work fully remote, so I'm on my screen all day, and I'm constantly going from tab to tab, and we have Slack, and Slack's going off, and I have ADHD, so I'm just like popping all over the place. Like,
you're looking at other startups.
So difficult. No, I don't have even the bandwidth for that, but no, just like
I hear that.
Tab to tab, and people Slack you, can you do this real quick? So you pop over there onto this tab, and you do that, and then you're like, what was I doing again? So I just do that for 8 hours.
That happens to me when I open up my browser and it's just Google in the search bar, and it's like,
what was I doing again?
This is too much.
Or you go to your phone to check one thing, and then
I've been thinking about making a short film about that.
Oh yeah,
like so it's just like somebody asks you to check the time, and then you go through like an entire like thought string of like news and like culture and everything you get from the phone.
That'd be a cool short. Yeah.
And then you look back and you go, I don't know.
Yeah.
Your mood totally changed.
Yeah.
You go to every other thing on your phone. Except for the time that's right there. Yeah. I think that would be a cool film. Like
I
cool
saw a film once that was all like screen recorded, and it was like people chatting to each other on Facebook, and it would go to the DM, and then this person's text, and the whole thing was like on the screen like that, and it was really cool. I wish I could remember what it was. I would send it to you. But
that's become like a new trend.
You know how much text reading we have to do now in TV shows? Like I was watching a show the other day, and I was in the kitchen, and the screen was over there, and like in the scene, he pulls up his phone and he texts someone. And I'm like, I can't read that from here. Like, we're watching a movie. Why are we texting?
I could never read like the little pieces
things fast enough.
Yeah, they like write something on a piece of paper. It shows it for about 0.3 seconds, and they cut away. It's like, what was that important?
Yeah. So much texting on screen these days.
I feel like
every commercial is that. Every commercial is just an app or an iPad and laptop.
Totally. Yeah, and After Effects.
Half of what I shoot these days is just green screen of someone on a laptop or someone on a phone.
Which you can use that footage and turn it into dinosaurs
a million different
attacking
things.
you.
Yeah, that's true. They could be watching cowboys and dinosaurs on their mobile device.
I've wanted to do something like that too, as like a skit, is where you would just get like stock footage, right? Somebody looking at their phone, and then you would cut in a hand in the phone, and they'd be watching something ridiculous, and and then cut back to it. It's just like old people and kids, everybody is just like watching this ridiculous. Yeah, I think it would be fun.
That's awesome. You should do it.
Because they could be people staring at the phone. They could be watching anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fun part of it. That's like the kind of the improv yes and part of it. Is that
Right.
it could be something hilarious, and then like you can map that with their expression. They can look at their phone like angry, and it's just like I don't know, puppies or something
Right.
attacking each other, and they're like, why? That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But no, that's as far as like yeah. I feel like we've run the gambit today.
Yeah, covered a
I'm
lot.
glad you
Thanks,
like
guys.
the cacti.
Yeah,
Seltzer.
it's good. Yeah, I'll let people know if they want some agave spiked seltzer. When I know.
And
that it exists.
this is the part of the podcast where I ask, do you have any questions for us? Do you have any questions for Blake and I?
What is your like goal for the podcast and just for your careers in general? What's the future for you guys?
Well, for mine, I just created a page called Blake's Ultimate Masterpiece Productions,
Oh.
and I want to like and right now I have an account on GoFundMe.
Okay.
Like I have a fundraiser where I'm trying to raise a couple $1,000 so I can go to Precision Camera and go buy some equipment,
Awesome.
like camcorders and lighting and stuff like that, and because I want to open my own film studio or video company someday, and I maybe want people like Corey and maybe someone like you and maybe someone like him maybe, and
Shout out Maurice, our tech today.
To help
Thanks,
me,
buddy.
maybe to help me travel with people and maybe go out and shoot our own films, and then we'll do our own showcases and stuff like that. So I just think that would be like a really good thing for me to do, like to own my own studio called Blake's Ultimate Masterpiece Productions. I know it's going to take a lot of work, but hey, it's worth a try. I'm always up for a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the quintessential brand of Blake. Is like, I got no excuse.
Yeah,
It's
he's
just
a
gonna take-
self-starter too, for
yeah,
sure.
totally. Yeah, so adventures and goals for the podcast is adventures and meeting new people, and I think meeting people from a 0 point, kind of like today, is the best way a podcast can go, I think. And I love everything about that. I love everything about meeting somebody new, because in the filmmaker world, in the filmmaker community, you show up to a shoot and you may not know everybody on set, and you immediately become like best friends because you're all working towards something amazing. And that's what I like out of this podcast, is we're all looking at something coming up next. Well, what's next? What are we working on that comes next? And it's all like a similar field. We're all kind of doing the same things on set and things like that. So it's a very there's a very good sense of camaraderie in this podcast, and what we're celebrating essentially is that sense of like, oh, somebody I've never met before from Montana, but we like the same films, or we like being on set and have spent time as PAs on professional sets, and I love that. And so the goal for this podcast is just to create more awareness and just celebrate that camaraderie between filmmakers. Anything from pre-production to production to post-production, shout outs to brands and things like that, of everything that we're working on, and just giving this sort of indie filmmaker world a voice, and being there for people who where should I go to talk about this project? I want to talk to somebody about this project, and I want to be that person that they can come to and talk about it if they got a project coming out that's fresh and new, or something that they just want to re-release, or something that never saw the light of day, that it's finally getting its release. I want this place to just be one step of the way to getting their projects out there. So just being part of the movement, man.
Yeah. Well, good for you guys for doing it. I've thought about starting a podcast probably 100 times, and I just get this pit of my stomach dread of like, how could I commit to doing that every week?
How do you even start?
Yeah, how do you even start? So kudos to you guys for doing it. So that's awesome.
Paradox Productions has an open house. Did you actually know this?
I did not.
So the first Monday in July, we are having an open house from noon to 5 p.m.
Cool.
In the first Monday of July, and you can come in. You can book a time spot of 50 minutes, and you can shoot your show. Anything you want, any amount of guests you want,
That's
any
cool.
idea. You come in, you sign up on the form, you come in your time slot. I'll be here checking the whole thing. We'll make something awesome. And then you get a full episode all to yourself.
Wow.
of something that you wanted to just try out and see if it works.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah,
Good
so
for
it's
you
just
guys.
like just a welcome open door to filmmakers for everybody to come in and do their thing.
Yeah.
And have adventures and make Dinosaurs versus Vampires 2.
Versus
That's the real goal.
Mumblecore.
Yeah, Vampires versus Mumblecore.
The Mumblecore indie version of Vampires versus Dinosaurs.
Yeah, and the other part of your question, what was it?
It was about
second
what
half.
the future is for you guys.
Oh, right, like future,
I
like
also want to
career
know
goals.
what your favorite podcast that you love is. Like, what do you aspire to? What's a podcast that you aspire to?
That's a good question. I listen to a lot of really big podcasts. Like I like Bill Burr. I like Whitney Cummings. I listened to Joe Rogan for a while, and before he moved to Spotify, I haven't jumped into Spotify in a minute because I don't really use Spotify.
Really? What do you use instead?
I use something called YouTube Vanced.
YouTube Vanced?
Yeah.
What's that?
So it's YouTube Music Vanced, and it allows me to get the premium version of YouTube Music for nothing.
How?
Just magic. Somebody who works in IT got to set up for me, and I haven't looked back.
Okay.
And it's like
That's
the
cool.
best thing ever.
Wow. Lucky duck. Shoot.
So like Spotify is like nothing to me now.
Yeah. I have the free Spotify. I just hate the ads. It's terrible.
Yeah. That's the main reason why I say.
Yeah.
Also, my account got hacked twice. My Spotify
Really?
account. Yeah, got hacked twice. They changed my name to like, it was a bot hack, so it changed my name to like an infinite character username, and I can't change it back. So it's just like,
That's nuts.
I wasn't even paying for it. They just,
Right.
yeah.
Weird.
And so it was like, okay, well, Spotify already gave me ads. They played music that was totally unrelated to what I'd searched.
Yeah.
And then like my shit got hacked. So I was like, all right,
That's nuts.
we have creative differences, Spotify, to say it nicely.
Yeah.
No,
So
but
Bill
Spotify's
Burr,
fine.
Whitney Cummings podcast, you like? Those are both comedians too. Do you do stand up or?
I don't do stand up
some improv?
myself yet. I definitely want to. I aspire to. That's definitely something that's like on the back burner.
You should do it. I know a great teacher if you want one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stand up comedy coach.
Valerie Nees. Shout out to Valerie.
Valerie Nees. I like that.
She's a local gal, and she started her own business doing stand-up comedy classes. I took 2 of them, and they were awesome. They're great.
I love that. Valerie Nees. I'll have to,
That was one of
Name drop
my
me.
quarantine talents was learning stand-up
Quarantine
comedy.
talents?
Yeah. Have you
I
heard
love
that one
that.
yet? Quarantine talents?
Yeah, like a quarantine hobby, like a lockdown hobby.
Yep.
Yeah, I got really into chess.
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel like,
What do you
was that
think of
because of
that?
the Queen's Gambit? Like, did that just spark a
No,
whole
that
thing?
came out
or before?
afterwards.
Okay.
That came out
'Cause
months
it seems like
after.
everyone's playing chess now.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. It got like a 12,000%
resurgence.
increase. Yeah, it's bizarre. But I got
cool.
into chess because there was just nothing going on. And I was like,
Yeah.
just opened it up one day and just started playing. I know kind of how to play chess still.
I know
But
how
I
to play
play, like,
chess
every
in the
day.
sense that chess is moving. If chess was just moving pieces around,
Yeah.
which it's not.
It's
There's
inspiring.
so
to-
much strategy that I have no idea how
Yeah.
that works.
It is. It's a ridiculous amount of strategy and knowledge, but I got really inspired by it, and I even went to a chess club meet because they were
Wow.
like the only like group of people that were still like meeting in person.
Oh, funny.
Surprisingly, like hardcore chess people don't give a shit about the news. They only play chess.
Such
and,
a
like,
funny
read.
niche of people that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
That's really funny.
nobody there like cared. This is like in mid-COVID of last year, and I just went there and played chess. It was a great time.
Huh.
And yeah, well, I was gonna say something else, but yeah. Anyways, I got my butt kicked because
Yeah.
everybody was like tournament winners and things
I
like
bet it's
that.
so hard. Yeah.
And now I just came there just to talk shit like a Call of Duty player or something. It's not the way you want to do chess.
Yeah. Like,
the way
did
I
you
learned.
pick up any quarantine talents? Any quarantine hobbies
Um,
that you tried out?
like during quarantine,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
basically I would just watch TV series. Basically, like there's this. It was taken off of Netflix, but now I'm rewatching it on Hulu. It's called The Fosters,
The Fosters. Okay.
but it's a really good show. And basically, I played a lot of Super Smash Brothers on the Switch and stuff like that. But you know, it was just a really hard time. I mean, I was bored because you know because I'm so used to socializing and being in groups and
Yep.
meeting other people. So quarantine was definitely not something I was used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys both consider yourself extroverts?
No. Not
Really?
even a little bit. No.
But you're so chatty. I would never know.
Yeah, I'm overcompensating for my
your introverted
insecurities.
self. Yeah.
This is I've become a lot more kind of with it. I've been out of my shell as an introvert since I was like 17.
Okay.
So I haven't had a problem with like talking or kind of being out in the open. I'll definitely like nope out of a heavily crowded party early.
That's true.
Because
I will too, though, and I'm an extrovert, so.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
No, I'm definitely not an extrovert.
I feel like for extroverts, it was just a really hard time, like the quarantine, just like.
Oh, totally.
You know, and maybe for introverts too. I don't know, but I mean, I'm sure it was hard for everyone, but.
Just happy to say hi to people. And,
like I feel like nobody's gonna be able to shut me up now. Like I've talked several people's ears off at bars. Like I'm like drinking and talking to this person. I'm like, I can tell he's trying to get out of this conversation. I'm like, I have so much to say now. I feel like so.
That's great. Like bar conversations are gonna be so loud now and like crowded.
Yep.
I know there's one bar I like to frequent. And usually it's totally dead because like I guess that's one an introverted thing. So like when I go out to a bar and I go out kind of by myself, I go there to talk to people and just have a good time. But I'm not there to like turn up and go insane. Yeah, I go there to like chat with people and just not let my week out, but just talk.
Right.
And I went to one place that I frequent, and it's been like completely packed. Like you can't even walk in the front door anymore. It's because since things have opened up completely.
Right.
So it's like, I think every bar was kind of like a speakeasy type of vibe. I don't think that one was really that. It's just because of COVID.
Because it was COVID.
And so I got that experience there, and it's just not there anymore.
Nuts.
I'll never see it. Yeah, I'll never see it there again.
Now you gotta find a new dive bar.
I love like are they called dive bars? Or are they like
I guess not a dive bar. I feel like dive bars maybe are a little more party. Like
I want to go to a bar that's like behind a vault door or something fun.
Have you been to Stay Gold on like a Tuesday night?
Stay Golden?
Stay Gold.
I haven't been there.
East Cesar Chavez, I think.
Really?
On like a Tuesday or a Wednesday night, maybe even a Monday night. Yeah, it's quiet there.
Totally. Tuesday, Wednesday nights, totally. Yeah, that's my vibe.
You would like it,
there.
Yeah. Cool spot.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like there's a lot of bars that have like open mic comedy and things like that, and I've done a couple open mics up north, and so like those are my two modes. Yeah, it's like chilling, talking to one person is plenty.
Yep.
Or on stage, saying ridiculous, stupid jokes that I think are funny.
Yeah.
And I found that in my mind, the best way to be up on stage and do stand-up comedy is to tell jokes that you think are funny, and if nobody laughs, then they're wrong.
Yeah. I feel like comedy is all about just like really leaning into your individual uniqueness and like things that you think are weird and funny. Yeah. And like eventually you'll find your people who also think that those things are weird and funny.
Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Exactly.
So a man with a man.
I like that. I need a shirt that says
a guy with a man bun told me that.
Vibe attracts tribe. Were you jealous of the man? I mean, I guess you could rock the man bun.
I could. I've been offered braids. I've been solicited for braids of my hair.
Oh, that's funny.
All kinds of different ones. But
my fiance has really long hair, and he gets more compliments on his hair than I get on mine. Oh, really? Like we'll go to a restaurant, and people will come behind us and be like, "Hey, ladies," and then they'll be like, "Oh, it's not a lady." It's pretty great. Yep.
Yeah, I've gotten that. I've been catcalled.
Yep.
No, I'm due for a haircut. I still got COVID hair.
Everybody is, yeah.
I'm due for a haircut.
COVID hair. Yeah.
I know a barber. I still haven't gotten a haircut, so I gotta get on that.
Gotta get on that. Yep, it's time.
But I mean, like going back to your question as far as like career things, podcast is definitely something inspiring for me. Other than that, I do a lot of different things. I do all of the tech for the podcast here, which has yet to pop off. But once it does, it's going to be every day. Our goal is to have 50 podcasts.
Nice.
Producing here every week.
Cool.
Excuse me. So with that, that's with the studio. Other than that, my day job is a real estate photographer.
Oh, cool.
So I do that mainly during the day. It's a super cushy job.
Yeah.
I basically just call a place. They say, yeah, come over. I take some photos and I upload it to the company.
Cool.
And they do all the editing, all the turnaround. I don't have to worry about it.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
Yeah.
What's the name of that company?
Good question. No, it's cool. Apartment experts, apartment locators. Good people. Great people.
Do they have a team of lots of people, or it's just you doing it?
It's a whole network of people.
Okay.
Yeah, they have like 10 plus locations.
Okay. That's cool.
All in different areas of Austin. They just try to play that apartment locator game. Which is really interesting. But I don't have any part of like trying to convince people to move into a place and like property manager games and things like that. Don't have to. I get to see inside that world, but I just give them photos and call it a day.
That's awesome. That's
And
very
it's so
similar to
nice.
how Blended Sense would operate. It's like you just get to show up, take the pictures, and give it to them, and walk away and get
I
paid.
love that. I love that.
It's very much like that.
I found in my older age of 27 that that is way easier than like
doing the post yourself.
finding the clients.
Yes, exactly.
Taking the photos, doing the post,
yeah,
going back and
to all
forth.
the pain points.
Yeah. I've definitely done that though. It's a little bit more gratifying, especially if you want the client
and you can get paid
to be,
more usually.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you want the client to be completely happy and you know they're happy from your standpoint. Doing it that way, but again, I think it's old-fashioned.
Yeah.
In that way, I think it is.
Yeah, probably true.
I feel like the AI-driven way, like you got to adapt to it.
Yeah.
Blended Sense for life.
For life.
With a Y.
That's
and
right.
An F and an E. But Blake, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think that's it.
Awesome.
I think that's
Thank
it
you
for
guys
me.
so much for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you for watching, and that's it. I don't know how to end these things. Thank you so much, Savannah, for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And it's wonderful to meet you, and I think Austin Movie Makers is a really cool idea.
Yeah, thanks. Me too. I hope to bring it back really soon. I'll let you guys know when I do.
12 short films.
I know. Yeah, and they're all on YouTube under Austin Movie Makers Group. So you can
That's
watch.
so good.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye now.
And we are the finest geniuses alive.
This guy. Listen to this guy.